it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up and take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Practice day number 9 of training camp was rough, to say the least. Start off with Ron Rivera telling the media that there was another retiree, linebacker Trey Walker, undrafted rookie out of Idaho, decided he was done with football. So, and these things happen. I talked about this at the very beginning of camp, that you're going to hear about a bunch of guys retiring, deciding that this is not what they want to do. You're going to have injuries. These are the things that happen in training camp, because this is the time of the year where you really realize, is this what I want to do? Do I truly love football? Training camp is tough. It's not supposed to be easy. It's hot. The practices are rough. It's not as bad as it used to be. Clearly, these players have it a lot better than the veterans of yesteryear had it. But it's still tough. It's still 90-degree weather. You're in full pads. And if you don't feel like this is what you want to do, that's the time when it starts to set in. You know, game days are fun, okay? Being on a roster, playing in an NFL, that's the fun part. This is the part that sucks, okay? Getting ready for the season. So this is when, if you really don't love football or you're starting to lose the love for football, this is when that starts to rear its ugly head. So another retiree for Washington. Last week it was Antonio Gandy-Golden. This week it is Trey Walker. So the linebacker room getting ever so thin. We talked about Drew White tearing his ACL. They're going to have to do something. There will be some linebacker shopping with this team at some point. And, I don't know if it's the smartest thing in the world to rush and try to get something done. There will be some cuts that will be made here in the next couple of weeks, where rosters will have to be trimmed down from 90 to, what is that number, 75, I think? Or is it 90 to 80, 80 to then 53? Whatever the case may be, there'll be some cuts here shortly. And then at the end of preseason, there'll be more cuts. And if you like a guy that you've seen perform in preseason, they've elected to go the younger route a lot of times. I think they want a veteran, but we'll see what happens. They're going to add a linebacker to this group at some point, whether it be sooner rather than later, because at some point there's not enough bodies at camp to run practice the way that you want to. You're going to have to add some guys. So they may have to do something like they did, earlier this week when Drew White tore his ACL. You go ahead, release him, add a corner in Devontae Busby. So, we'll see. There could be another corresponding move with this guy retiring in Trey Walker and another linebacker being brought in. But they're going to have to do something. There will be a linebacker, I believe, added to this mix in the near future, the very near future. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. But in any event, that's how the press conference from Ron Rivera was kicked off. But the practice itself, let's talk about the injury report. The list is starting to grow, and there were a couple more names added to that list today. We'll talk about that here in a second. But the wear and tear of camp is starting to show. Okay, the nicks and the bruises are starting to add up at training camp for this team. And it's nothing significant to this point. Other than Drew White tearing his ACL, we've been pretty fortunate that these have all been minor nicks and bruises, but they're starting to add up. You're starting to have guys not be able to participate in training camp. And camp is supposed to be the opportunity for guys to get reps, to get prepared for games that actually matter. We're not getting the kind of work that you would like to get in, because a lot of these guys aren't physically able to perform at practice. So it is becoming a bit of an issue, and I'll tell you how it is starting to have a trickle-down effect a little bit later on in today's show. But let's start with the report. So Curtis Samuel back on the side field. Remember, he practiced fully a couple of days ago. Sort of fully. He didn't practice. He didn't get into one-on-ones, but he did the individual drills. He did the 7-on-7. He did the 11-on-11 period. So it was good to see him out there back on the side field. Remember, this is a part of the plan. Okay, it's a part of the plan. You still have John Bates off to the side working on his calf. Trapp has been on the side field now for the last 3 or 4 practices. Don't really know the extent of his injury. No one's really asked, but it doesn't really matter. He's not practicing. James Smith-Williams, JSW, still nursing a hip injury. He was not practicing today. Trey Turner still dealing with the calf or the quad strain, excuse me. He did not practice today either. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? De'Ami Brown. Remember, he was going through the walkthroughs yesterday. I think he's fine. I think this is more of a precautionary thing than anything else. Leg injury for him. He did not participate. He was on the side field today as well. Sadiq Charles is a new entry into the side field game. He was on the side field today, did not partake in practice. So the list is growing, okay? And we're not subtracting any names off the list. We just keep adding names to the side field list and the guys that are not participating or on the bike. So that's, again, becoming a little bit concerning in terms of just getting what you want out of these practices. What we don't want are a bunch of guys that aren't probably going to make the football team, essentially running the reps in practice. It's not iron sharpens iron, but you're not sharpening iron if your first team is going up against a bunch of guys that may not even be on the roster. So, and I'm being a little bit over the top, okay? A little hyperbole there. I get it. But what I'm saying is it would be nice if we could keep some of these guys healthy or get some of these guys back so that practice can run a lot smoother. That said, speaking of injuries, the tight end position, which is already a little banged up, Logan Thomas still nursing his injuries, coming back from surgery, not back yet. Obviously, John Bates out. We talked about him earlier with the calf. Now you add a couple more guys. Cole Turner left practice today. So did Samis Reyes, both with hamstring tightness. So your first four tight ends, conceivably, we don't know where Samis Reyes is in the pantheon, in the pecking order of tight ends. But if you're going off of last year's depth chart, he'd be the fourth guy right now. All four of your guys are out right now due to some sort of ailment. And so the practice that you guys were excited about going to tomorrow has been severely compromised. Like, I've talked about my excitement level. I know Rico, when we did the show with Rio and Rico and Ed and myself, Rico was so excited to see the tight end position. And, he wants to see Amani Rodgers and some of these other guys, right? But I think one of the reasons I was so excited to see the tight end position was because I wanted to see Cole Turner. That's what I was really intrigued by. I wanted to see this big kid out here running routes like a receiver, getting in and out of breaks, high pointing the football. Those are the things I was going to be excited about seeing. And not only are you probably not going to see that now, in seeing practice tomorrow, but there's a real chance that we don't see any of these guys in preseason game number 1, which is fine. I don't care about the preseason. I don't want them rushing guys back. I don't want them compromising the regular season for us to get a look at a guy in the preseason. That's not important to me. However, you want guys healthy. You would like to see them on the field in the preseason. It makes it a lot more entertaining and enjoyable. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting these guys to the starting blocks for the regular season. So there's a real chance a lot of these guys that I've been talking about that have been on the side field, we're not going to see them in preseason game number 1. You may not see them in the preseason at all. We don't know the severity and the extent of some of these injuries, and you want to take it slow. This is the time of the year you take it slow. You're not looking to rush guys back. Yeah, you would like to see a lot of these younger guys out there getting reps, but at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that these guys stay healthy. So, that tight end position was severely impacted today with the 2 injuries with Samis Reyes and Cole Turner, so much so that the defense won today's practice. They dominated specifically the goal line portion of practice where you get in tight, you're looking to be physical, try to get the ball in the end zone. This is a lot of times where the offense has 3 tight ends on the field. Well, I just told you the top 4 tight ends weren't available for this portion of practice. So now you're out there with the likes of Amani Rodgers and the kid from Arizona State and all of these guys that, Alex Arma, all of these guys are out there, and it puts you at a disadvantage. And so Washington went to their 5-man defensive front when they looked to stop the run. I've talked about this already. And that group consisted of Sweat, Payne, Allen, Mathis, and Toohill, right? Those were the 5 guys. And Casey Toohill had himself a field day during this period. He tackled Antonio Gibson for a loss. He also recovered a fumble. Yes, Gibby fumbled. Now, my understanding of the fumble was that it was one of those, could have easily been, whistle had already blown, getting held up, ball's pried free, but still, with Gibby, I don't want the shit on the floor at all. I don't give a damn if it's after the play's over. I don't care if it's they're holding you up and they're prying it loose before progress has been stopped. I need you to hold on to the goddamn football. Either way, the defense was dominant. There was a play where Carson Wentz rolls out. He's searching for someone to throw the football to. It's one of those play action fakes where the tight ends are supposed to get free. Amani Rodgers is running, looking to get open, and Jamin Davis is literally in the man's hip pocket. Carson Wentz couldn't force it. He had to throw it away. That's when practice is compromised by the lack of tight ends that give you an opportunity. If that's Cole Turner, I don't know if Jamin Davis is in his hip pocket or not, but at bare minimum, you throw it up high and see if he can't go get it, right? But with, Amani Rodgers, Jamin Davis is right there. You don't stand a chance, right? They're literally, not necessarily the same size, but it's not that big of a difference. Jamin Davis is clearly a superior athlete, so there's nowhere for him to go. So he ultimately had to throw the football away. So it was a tough period for the offense. Defense dominated. And that's when you hear me talk about practice being impacted by all of these injuries. That's where you see it in a period like that, where it's goal line. You need 3 tight ends on the field. Now you're playing with guys that we don't think are going to ultimately make this football team, but they're the 3 guys that are on the field. So, it's a little tough. It's a little rough to do the things you want to do. You could tell Ron was somewhat perturbed after practice with another retiring linebacker or player, in this case, Trey Walker, the injuries that are starting to mount, and just the lack of continuity and fluidity with practice because of some of these injuries and what it does. So Ron was definitely, you could see it. He didn't say anything crazy, but you could see it. I'm a big body language guy. You could see Ron was definitely perturbed with the way things went today. That said, there's a practice tomorrow at FedEx Field. I'm thinking that's going to be a practice that, they're going to try to put on a show for the fans in attendance, but it's going to be a compromised practice because most of these guys aren't going to be able to participate. So, again, it's not about that. It's not about the preseason. It's about getting these guys ready for week 1 home for Jacksonville. So, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, day 9 of practice is going to probably be more so remembered for, some of the injuries starting to mount, a couple more tight ends. And again, when you hear hamstring tightness, for young guys, that could be, a day or 2 and they're fine. I wouldn't be shocked if Cole Turner were out there tomorrow. It just got tight on him today. They massage it. He stretches, gets hydrated, and he's back out there tomorrow. And he's out there and you guys get to see him live up close and in person. But the likelihood is they're going to keep him out of practice tomorrow, give him another day off because Sunday's an off day, and then he might be ready to rock and roll come Monday. But, these are the types of things. This is the dog days of summer. This is when training camp, you start to get into the portion of training camp. You're like, okay, now it's becoming monotonous. Now it's time for this shit to end. Let's get to the preseason and get closer to the regular season. So, that's essentially day 9 in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys got to see the Jahan Dotson mic'd up. Please treat yourself. That was so much fun to listen to. Him talking to Terry about Ohio State practices. Wide receiver coach Drew Terrell reminds me of my wide receiver coach in high school. Just so much fun. Those wide receiver coaches, Coach Pete. Shout out to my guy, Coach Pete. These guys are so much fun, man. The receiver room was always fun. It was always lively. It was always a ton of fun. And you could tell these guys have fun. The back and forth between him and wide receiver coach Drew Terrell is just priceless. Talking about, man, who can rock Gucci shades? And Coach Terrell is like, shit, I can rock that. He's like, no, the hell you can't. And then he's like, I know what I can't rock is that hairdo you got going on. What the hell is that supposed to be a taper? Like, I don't want to give too much away. Go watch it. Go treat yourself to it. You'll enjoy it. It's my favorite mic'd up to this point. We've had about 2 or 3 of them to this point this is my favorite one so far. Jahan seems like he's going to be a fun dude to follow in his rookie season, and hopefully many successful years to come here in the nation's capital. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, with your camp report for day 9 of training camp. It was the reason I got on all this black is because it was not a good day in terms of staying upright and keeping guys healthy. But the show must go on. And again, nothing serious. I don't want to be doom and gloom because there are teams that are dealing with major injuries. That's not us right now. Knock on wood. Let's keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not complaining. But what I am saying is it'd be nice to keep some of these guys healthy, get some of these guys back. Some good news. You want some good news on the way out? Cornelius Lucas is working his way back to practice. I don't know what was going on with him, but he was on the non-football injury list to start. I was thinking maybe it was COVID again. Remember, he had COVID last year. This same time, he had a birthday party right before training camp. His ass got COVID, and that's part of the reason I thought he lost the job to Sam Cosmi last year. So anyway, I digress. He's getting close to coming back. So hey, how about that? Anyway, that's gonna do it for me, your man Louie T. You know what it is. I'm a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail, or as I like to say, post up and take command. You guys know what it is. We'll chop it up again. If not Saturday, Sunday. For those of you who requested tickets, I'm going to get on that. The easiest way, and I'm going to hit you up in the comment section if you requested some tickets. But the easiest way is to DM me on Twitter. If you have a Twitter, DM me your email because that's going to probably be the way that I'll get you the tickets. But I will correspond with you guys, with the ones that requested tickets, and see if I can't get those in your possession before tomorrow's practice. So with that said, you guys go enjoy your weekend. We'll come back. We'll reconvene either Saturday or Sunday. I think I got a video for you guys that I'll have in the chamber that I'll release on Saturday, and then I'll recap Saturday's practice more likely than not on Sunday. But again, we've talked about the schedule. More likely than not, you'll get some semblance of that. Until then, you guys have a good one. Take care. LouieTeeNetwork.